Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Money Matters 5-day challenge. So excited to have you here. If you are watching on the video replay in the Facebook group, hit hashtag replay, and we'd love to hear your insights from today's conversation and exercise. So I am Kat Sanford. Just quick little debrief. I'm your hostess of the Money Matters 5-day challenge, and I am the Abundance Alchemist. So I'm all about helping you um, create more meaningful income and have a mindset of abundance and be able to um, make whatever you want to make, lots of money, if that help you make that feel good and have a big impact in the world. So I'm happy to be here today, and thank you for joining me. So we're going to jump right in. I want to do a little sacred grounding before we get started. I don't know about you, but today's been a balance of summer camp for kiddo, moving things around, taking care of myself and all that. So I could use a little bit of grounding too. So I'm going to invite you to um, I wanted to say something really quickly because today was even I needed some extra support. I had to diffuse my wild orange, which is an oil of abundance, and then I even was putting some elevation into the mix, which that's an oil of joy and abundance. So we're gonna be joyful today as we talk about money, and yes, that is possible. Okay, so let's do a little sacred grounding before we get started. And I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if that feels good, or just gaze gently at something that you love to look at. And as we do this grounding exercise, you just want your breath you want to breathe in through your nose and exhale through your nose with your mouth closed, and just gentle breaths, just a relaxing, gentle breath. And so as you're breathing, I've got a couple of things I want to share with you. The first thing is I'm going to guide you through. I found this quote from Mahatma Gandhi, and I want to read this to you to set the tone for our conversation today. And then I'm going to guide you through 3 stanzas of the Ho'oponopono prayer. Gandhi says, "Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny." So just take a few minutes for that to soak in. We're going to talk about money values today. And yesterday we talked about money mindset and what influences those and where those come from. And during this experience, we want to look forward, and we want to adopt an abundance mindset and release self-limiting beliefs around our relationship with money. So as we're going through the Ho'oponopono prayer today, I'm going to say it 3 times for you. I want you, and I'll explain this in a minute, but I want you to think of yourself, others, and then I want you to ask, if you need to, for forgiveness for the collective. The Ho'oponopono prayer is definitely a prayer of blessing. For me, it's an opportunity. I go to this often when I just need to have more compassion for myself and more forgiveness. So here we go. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Take a few more relaxing breaths and then come back to the space. So I love that prayer. I love to think of myself, forgiving myself for choices I've made in the past, maybe spending choices when it relates to money, of either spending, saving, telling myself I should have, all of those things. And then also for others, there may be circumstances in your life where maybe you've owed somebody some money and was unable to pay it back, or maybe there's just some upset around money in relationship with someone else. And so I think it's a beautiful prayer for that also. And then also too, maybe there's people that owe you money, or fill in the blank, with what is, that you've gifted money and, it hasn't worked out the way you wanted to. So I think it's a beautiful prayer for that. So I wanted to share that today. So, okay. So let's jump in. I would love anyone who is feeling called, and remember, this is a safe space for you to share what is coming up for you regarding your relationship for money, around money. What I'd love to hear your insights from yesterday. So after doing the worksheet for day one, what ahas or insights came up for you? Anybody?
I can share.
Okay, thanks, Stacy.
Yeah, I realized that I had a really polarized view around there's bad ways to spend money and there's good ways to spend money. And these two were really far apart and kind of confusing to me growing up. So I think sometimes I find myself saying, oh, well, that's good and that's bad, and doing that same binary thinking that I observed, but it's not really my way, and it's not really true.
So can you tell me more, or tell us more about, like, an example? Would you like to give
Mm-hmm.
us an example of?
Yeah, like in my family, it was like you spend money on your education or your house. And that those are like valid ways to spend money. But when you go to a restaurant, you get iced water with lemon. Like, these weird, like spending money on like drinks at a restaurant, that's bad, that's frivolous, that's ridiculous. So, yeah, just this binary, like it's either good or bad. You're either a spender or a saver. And that's not really what I, as an adult, in my, like, I don't subscribe to that. But I think I have been subconsciously.
So there's so many threads that to pull out of that, what you said, and I appreciate that, excuse me, you sharing that exact story, because I journaled a little bit before the call today because some things were showing up for me too. And I was like, wow, my messages growing up around money were really mixed up because it was, so my parents divorced when I was young. I was 5, I think. And so dad's money habit and mom's money habit and mindset were different. Plus, I was blessed to have all 4 of my grandparents be a major influence and one of my aunts be a major influence in my life. So they all had different habits. So I was thinking about that same thing because there were some polar opposite things going on that have, like, all of a sudden they've showed up, and I'm like, wow. And it's a thread that I can follow all throughout my life. Yeah. So really, really cool that that's showing up for you. And then also too, how do you, you're like using the words like bad and good, how we judge decisions around money for ourselves and how we judge other people's decisions. So that's interesting to great awareness, and I love that reflection. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share insight from yesterday? You can put it in the chat if you want to be anonymous, and I'll repeat it without saying your name. That's what I meant to do yesterday, Stacy, when I shared one of your answers. I meant to not say your name, and then I was like, okay.
I don't care. It's all good.
I can share. I was going to put it in the chat, but
Okay.
I can
Okay.
share. So I just want to say thanks, Heather, because I just realized while you were saying that, I think I have the exact same way of thinking about money. There's good and bad ways. And I think I also use it often as a justification to spend money. Like it's a good thing. I can spend it here. I'm allowed to do that. And then, yeah.
Do you have an example, Trisha?
For like home, we haven't done our yard yet, and we've been here, this is our third summer, and we're doing it, and we're justifying the expense of the fence. And even though we don't have the cash on hand, even though we have debt, we're still justifying it because it has to be done, right? And it's a good thing to spend because it helps to, create equity in our home kind of idea. And when I spend money on my business too, I don't always think it through 100% and think of it as a good expenditure for training or whatever, right? So it's not always something that I think it through. I sometimes just justify it with that thinking.
Thanks for sharing that, Trisha. So what I heard of that is so allowed and justified were two words. And then also maybe how the decisions around the money habits in your personal life might be a little bit different in your business. Does that sound?
Yeah. So
Okay.
business is like, um, well, it's different now, but for a while it was like that justification, like it's training, it's good, it'll help me. And now there's a different feeling around it because I haven't gotten as far as I was hoping I would get, kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to check the chat because I know Anne Marie was concerned about feedback. So but I think there's some juicy things in the chat. So I'm just going to read a few of these anonymously. What's interesting is that I realize how much I find it easier to spend money on more training, workshops, education, and that's linked to the messages I received growing up. I hadn't really put that together. Somebody else says I'll drop cash on high ticket programs, courses, workshops for business, but when it comes to buying a good quality pair of jeans, I won't. Let's see. There's something else. Okay, here's an example of going to purchase meat, and we'll sort through to find one that's like 30 cents less. Yeah, can you get a little smaller cut of meat because you want to pay a certain amount? I realized how much I don't really know about money other than it goes in and goes out. Great. Okay. So yeah, so here's the thing. Why this is so important, why this work is so important, because it's not about bad or good in the sense of there's so many times, and somebody said it yesterday, is like we attach our worth to our money habits, and we're going to talk more. We're going to look at our habits tomorrow, but before we get into the money values exercise, I just want to talk about this, um, and that's a habit in of itself. Is like thinking we're not worthy of making money, having things, all of this stuff. So it's really a bigger conversation. So really, the intention for this week is for you to raise your awareness and start stepping more into an abundant mindset, and then have some practical tools to be able to take a look at things. And so it's a process. This is a big, creating new habits is a process for sure. So, we are going to talk a little bit tomorrow about the B word, which is budget. So, but it's just it's an ongoing thing. I will tell you, when I started doing this work for myself, I keep going back to it. I keep going back to the exercises. It's a daily awareness for me. I don't let the money in my life dictate everything. Like, I'm not sitting and worry every single day about the money, because I do have an abundant mindset. but it's a piece now. Like before, where I used to just ignore it and be, that's my personality, is like I'm an emotional spender. I would just ignore it, let somebody else handle it. That showed up for me today as well. Again, it's like, why does this keep showing up? And it was that money story from growing up, and those other things that I saw, other habits I saw modeled for me. The great news is, you can choose differently at any time. So, and I'm going to give you the tools to do that. So that's why this is important, because if you want to step into abundance, for me, abundance means financial freedom and time freedom. So let me define that for you. When you hear me say abundance, that's what it means. Is having the financial freedom to say yes to what I want to say yes to be able to bless other people. So it means a lot of things. And then with for me, having financial freedom means I have more time freedom, because the business is streamlined. I can do what I love to do, and then I can go play more. So that's what it means for me. So yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there, like when you're thinking like, why is this important? And think of all the times that you have felt stressed out about money. What if the stories that you're telling yourself about money and the experiences, the stressful experiences, the conflicts were no longer true? So that's why this is important. So thank you for everybody that shared. Yeah, micro stressors, they add up, they start to add up. So I love this. We got to save the chat today. So many great shares and ahas. I love it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the money values exercise. And this is a exercise. It's really, my intention is that this really shifts how you think about money in a powerful and productive way. So we're just going to build on the conversation yesterday. If you're watching the replay, go back and catch day one, where we talk a little bit more about money mindset. You do not have to watch the replays in order, but it might be helpful for this conversation. So this is a 4-part exercise. I'm going to give you a high-level taste of this exercise, because if you're looking at the worksheet, it's 2 pages. So it's the step 1 and 2 are on page 1, and then there's questions. And so we probably won't have time for you to do all of the questions today together, but you'll be able to do those on your own. So yeah, and they're really insightful. So, okay, what we're going to do first, and I'm just going to check the best thing to do, either if you have questions as I'm going along, like if you need clarification on one of the steps, just unmute and ask me. That's totally fine. Interrupt me, or if you can put it in the chat, and I'll try to be watching the chat, or if I miss something in the chat, just you can ask me at the end. So what we're going to do, if you are looking at the worksheet, you'll see that on page 1 there's a T grid, and so that is going to be, you're going to have a left-hand column and a right-hand column. If you're just using a piece of notebook paper, tongue-tied, just draw a line at the top and a line down the center vertically to make yourself 2 columns. Easy peasy. Okay. And so what I want you to do in the left-hand column, I want you to title that values. VALUES, in case you can't understand my Southern accent. And this is what I want you to do. We're just going to take like 5 minutes. So this is just going to be popcorn style, whatever comes to you. And so the question is, or the assignment is, I want you to list your values. This does not have anything to do with money. It's the must-haves in your life, the important stuff. So what's important to you? What do you value? I'll share a couple of my words just to maybe give you a little inspiration. It could be love, respect. I got you, Anne-Marie. Kindness, integrity, honor, trust. Maybe it's home. We talked about some stuff today, so maybe it's something physical you value. Maybe it's home, security, freedom, time. It could be nature. It could be food. It could be a feeling. It could be a thing. You get to decide. Your goal is to have at least 8 values. If you can get to 10 to 12, that would be great. And if you get stuck, just know you can come back to this later. So one of the things I want to share as you go through this exercise or any of these exercises is remember to focus on your current state. And also, it's okay if if you feel like I might feel a little bit like an imposter because I want to feel this way. I want to put this down as my value, but I haven't fully stepped into this, but it's a desire of my heart. Claim it, put it down. That's my intuition that's coming through for all of us. It's like we're moving forward into really having an abundance mindset of really fully stepping into that and being empowered with our relationship with money. And so that's the opportunity. It's just releasing anything, in the past. So it's that little voice that's telling you, yeah, but you did the X, Y, and Z. So you have the opportunity to just release that and claim what you value. Okay. All right. Let's move on just for time's sake. Okay. So actually, let me add anybody struggling. I'm going to add a couple of questions you can ask yourself. And let me just double check. I don't think these are in the worksheet. No, they're not. So I will go back. You can watch the replay, or I'll go back at some point and just put them like as a post in the group so that you can also, if I talk too fast. But here's some spark questions for reflection on what you value. And my apologies, because I just like went off somewhere else. So, but in case you need extra support. So what matters most in your relationships? So what do you value the most in your relationships? How do you want to be treated? What's important to you? What do you hold as important? When you feel good about yourself, what are you doing? So an example could be, and it is for me, it's like I'm being creative. So I value creativity or value being creative. And just also too, words have different meanings. So what creative versus creativity may mean something different to you. And that it also may mean something different for someone else. So that's the beautiful thing about this. And who do you love to be? What lights you up? And so I'll give you just a few more minutes after sharing those questions, if that helps inspire some more values for you. Okay.
Kat, do you feel like 12 is the max? I'm starting to like add even more.
No, because when you see where we're going with this, you may like want to do this again.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can go and add. And you know, it'll be interesting because I'm going to ask y'all to whoever wants to share. And so you may be inspired to take another word. Oh, somebody else may say a value, and you're like, oh, I have that too. So yeah, yeah, no, it's okay. Which leads me to step 2. No, I'm sorry, we're still in step 1. Next, I want you to look at the list that you created. And I want you to pick your top 3 values out of that list. That no matter what, you have to include them or have them in your life to feel complete. They're in alignment. They make you feel in alignment and make you feel true to yourself. So pick those top 3 and just circle those 3 and put 1, 2, 3 by them. And a really beautiful thing you could do when you have time is you could go through your whole list and you could order them in order of importance. It's really insightful to do that. Go ahead and do that. And then now I'm going to move on to step 2. You might be able to see where we're going with this. So step 2 is we're going to title the column on the right with the word money. MONEY. Now what I want you to do, excuse me, I was shuffling paper for a second, is I want you to take your top 3 values from the left-hand column, and I want you to write them, before you do this, I want you to write them on the right-hand side, but you're going to pair the word money with it. For example, if you have abundance, then you get to decide, is it money abundance? Is it abundant money? So just kind of play around with the grammar to whatever, so that you land, and we're looking for just those 2 words. So whatever feels in alignment and resonates with you. Anybody need me to go back over that? Nod your head, unmute. Love money, money love. Happy money, happiness money. Money happiness. Love all of those. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So this is progress over perfection. Okay, let me go in the chat because people are sharing. I love this. Okay. Kindness money, authentic money, cosmic money, cosmic money love, creative money, money connection, money with ease, money curiosity. I want to hear more about that one. Okay, so what we just did is this is a way to link your values with money. And why this is important is because so many people separate money from everything else that's important to them. So they push it aside when they think about what's important or what they value. So we want to have full integrity with our money, and this is a way for us to do that. So what's also interesting is you can take a look at when you ask yourself what's important to me, what do I value? And then you have to go through and pick, if I could only have one, and pick your number one. And if I could only have one, and pick your number two. And if I could only have one, and pick your number three. What starts to happen for you is you start to have a shift, and you start to really have an opportunity to define what's important to you. And when you attach it to the word money, you get to decide, wow, okay, is this what I really value? Okay, now we're going to go to step 3. Okay. Step 3, you might know where we're going already, is out of those 3, you only get to pick one. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to think about that and reflect. And here's the deal. No, somebody said, yes, yes. We're not tattooing this on our body right now. So I'm going to ask you to pick one, and it's going to become your priority money value for now. And here's what will help you decide. Out of the 3, which of these will stretch me and expand my opportunity to step into an empowering money relationship? So not the easiest one and not the most challenging one either. If you picked one, you're like, oh, that's challenging because maybe I don't feel in alignment right now. Which one of these could really create expansion for you? Creative money. Okay. So what you do when you get your number one, I want you to write it at the top, or right at the top or the bottom, wherever you have space in that column. Write it again. Instead of just circling it or highlighting it, write those words again. Put a header on it, or put equals number one money value. Anne-Marie, can I put you in the hot seat today and ask you to unmute and come on and share with us your number one money value, because you dropped it in the chat, and then what that means for you. Explain what it is when you think of it.
Can you repeat that, please? Heather was turning herself off so I could, and then we didn't hear a portion of it.
I think I just figured out that you two girls are hanging out together. How fun. Yes. If you will share, if you've completed that, if you will share your number one money value.
Yeah.
And then what the words mean for you.
So I landed with creative money. Out of authentic money, cosmic money, love, and creative money. The reason why I anchored into creative money is twofold. First, I believe that first thought, that initial thought that you have, is like your heart and soul speaking to you, and creative was the choice of my heart and soul. And then the second layer of it is related to my energetic code, because I know who it is that I am. My energetic code on so many levels, like my life path number, my name energy, is all related to creativity and innovation and ideas. And so it felt really good to consider, like, if I chose creative money as my top value, the fun that I could have with that, as opposed to, right, the Google Sheets that I'm allergic to, right? That's not, it's like, how can I get creative with this? How can I get creative with my money, like with the abundance that I'm calling in, with the money that I'm sharing, with like my collaborative wealth? Like it just, it felt in alignment for me.
I love that. So heart and soul, it was the choice of your heart and soul. So you really tapped into the heart-centered approach to
Mm-hmm.
money, which can be a very triggering conversation process to look at all of those things. And then you also said it felt good
Mm-hmm.
and in alignment and fun.
What was really interesting is when I had my list of values, creativity wasn't one of the first things that I said. It wasn't one of my top values. And yet, I think it goes, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. It's like there's aspects of ourselves that we are empowered in, like we've already adopted, we've already accepted, we've already stood in the power of that. And so I think that's why it was like down at the bottom, whereas maybe some of the things that I put as a top value first were things that I don't necessarily feel as much in my life, where I do feel very creative. I do feel very innovative. I do feel like I'm an ideator. Does that make sense?
It does, because one of the things I wanted to share through this experience and your comments and other people sharing in the chat as well is that it would be really easy for us to money is just one of those places in our life areas where it's really would be easy to be in comparison and judge ourselves based on our habits and past decisions, but also based on what we think society is telling us. I mean, that's another, we talked yesterday about it, where like what influences our money mindset. And something that came up for me after the call was outside of family and friends, it's society, it's the social norms and the social, we should be doing this or that or whatever to be considered and striving for this. And, it's the house and the 2.5 kids and that kind of thing, if you buy into that, and if you don't buy into that, we have had these messages, put out there in the universe for years, and definitely since industrial revolution. So I just kind of take it back to, to that as well, in terms of like, this is, yeah, this is why this is so important, is because if you feel out of alignment, then you are. So there's an opportunity for you to be able to create your future, and money is one of the areas. You get to decide what that looks like. So thank you for sharing that. That totally, yeah, that resonated with me, and that's how I kind of connect the dots too. So okay, so the next step, and this is going to be your self-paced reflection time, page 2 of the worksheet. So if you're watching the replay, go and grab page 2 of the worksheet, because it has some beautiful reflection. So the question is there's a series of questions. So now you can take your number one money value and you can ask yourself, what I'll give you an example. Like the first one is, what can you change? What change can you make in your habits that honors your money value? So if your money value, top money value is creative money, is what change could you make in your habits that honors your money value? What change can you make in your pricing? And it goes on. So take a look at that. Let me read one more thing, and then I want to open it up because I want to see if anybody else would like to share their number one. I can see why I chose creative money, as it crushes a self-limiting belief that hard work pays off. Yeah. Yeah, and it's redefining. I mean, yes, I subscribe to the concept of I mean, I think that's, for one, for me is integrity, is, I saw modeled for me, you get up and you you work, you do things, you take care of, whether it's taking care of family, taking care of your stuff, taking care of, honoring your agreements, those kind of things, working, contributing, all those things. But redefining what the phrase is hard work and means, and hustle means, what success means, those types of things. So yeah, and it's going to be different for everybody. Like, I mean, it just is. Circumstances are going to, um, it's going to make it different for everybody. So, okay, anybody else want to share? I would love to invite you to come share what's showing up for you. If you have questions around the exercise.
I'd share.
Okay.
And then I'll have to jump off. That's a leap. I chose, which is really weird for me, but actually I've been thinking about a lot this week in the last couple of weeks, and I chose money vulnerability. And for me, it's about letting go of that control over everything, control of where it's coming from and where it's going. And it seems like this super focus, and then it just seems to leave all the time, right? Because that's where the focus is. And then I was remembering that when I was younger, in my 20s, I used to like do little donations here and there. For those of you in Canada, the Tim Hortons Camp Day, get my coffee so that money would go to the camp, the kids and stuff. And I always believed that, when you give, doesn't matter how big or how small it is, that you would get back in spades kind of thing. And I've lost that along the way. So I'd like to trust that again, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And thank you for sharing that. You were just vulnerable in telling us something regarding your money story and your spending habits. So
that's the theme of my life right now.
Yeah, so that totally ties in. And the beautiful thing about this is you can. I invite you to come back to this exercise, because you may look at the words again, and I'll give you an example. It's a different example, but like if anybody put the word family down, like I value family, what is it? Go deeper. So what is it about family? Do you value love? Do you value connection? Do you value memories, legacy? There's an opportunity. I'm not saying that with vulnerability, or you also said the word trust, that you necessarily need to go deeper, but that's just an example of, if the words resonate with you and it feels really it feels in alignment, go with it. But you also have the opportunity to come back and play with the list anytime you want. Add to it, redo, come back to your number one. And then the invitation is really to sit with your number one money value that you came up with today, and just sit with that for a while, answer the questions, do the reflection, see how it sits with you and resonates with you. And I say play with it, but go with it. Let that flow as your number one guiding money value for now. So if it's creative money, we'll go back to that example, then it's answering these questions and really seeing like, okay, what am I doing now? What can I do differently? And thank you, Trisha. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. So do those questions, and then you'll be able to just really take a look at how you're feeling about that money value for now. So what else? Anything else come up for you? Okay, I'm going to check the chat. There's so much great stuff in the chat today. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your comments. I am going to drop in my link of how you can connect with me. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll do it a couple of times throughout the challenge. But if you want to be able to just have a conversation with me and find out how to go deeper with this work, if you're already in love with me, I'm going to just drop my link and we can have a chat. Or if you want to collaborate, network, that type of thing. So let me do that really quickly. I've got to pull it I just updated it, so I want to make sure it's correct. So give me just a second. And then I would love for you to share any insights that you have in the Facebook group. And then just a reminder, the replay from today will be available there in just a little while. And then day 3's worksheet will be available probably early in the morning, because I really want you to just kind of have a chance to reflect on day 1, reflect on day 2, see what's coming up for you, go a little bit deeper if you'd like. And then tomorrow, since you're on the call today, I'm going to give you a little heads up. So anybody else will have to catch the replay. Tomorrow, we are going to look at money habits. So a couple of tools that might help you with this. And if you don't have time to grab these tools today, you can do this later. So it's okay. So one of the things I'm going to have you use as just a resource is going to be, we're going to take a look at bank accounts, credit card statements, subscriptions that we have, memberships that we have, apps that we're paying for. So I'm just giving you a little hint, a little taste of where we're going to go tomorrow. And if you're like, God, I really do not want to do that, that's okay. Just know I got you. So yeah, so we're gonna tomorrow we're gonna get a little bit more into well, it's gonna be all about the habits. So we're gonna take a look at things, and it's all gonna be good. So show up tomorrow, be willing to go there with me. It is just a look. That's all it is. So, but that is what's just a little bit of the experience for tomorrow. So anybody, any questions before we sign off for today? Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna.
You're muted, Heather.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Could you please, Kat, put the work page in on the Facebook page today, because I have to print it at work, and I won't be able to print it for the morning if I don't get it today.
I will do it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't mind you going ahead, but
no, it's not that I want to go ahead.
You need to print it. Yeah.
I just need to print it in. The printer's at work, so I need to get it done before my husband comes home.
I'll do it here in just a little bit when I do the replay. I'll go ahead and do that too. So
thank you. I'll see you.
Yeah, you really. I mean, and you wouldn't be able to work ahead anyway. I'm thinking of what's on the worksheet, but yeah, so you can print it. Thank you for that request, because I didn't think about that sometimes people might need, just as a logistical thing. So yeah.
And Anne-Marie and I are paper people, so we need to write everything down. So.
Yeah.
All right, and
and this is a beautiful exercise. I mean, I think when you do, I want to be as green as possible, and you always have a worksheet for every day in the Money Matters Challenge, because it's just like journaling. There's something about reflecting and writing these things down versus, and if you're typing your answers on the computer, I mean, that's fine too, but there's just something magical about really connecting your mind with your heart and writing. I think there's some science behind that too. So yes, thank you for asking that. I'm happy to do that. So thank you. Okay, so really quickly, I just want to close us out with a little bit of grounding. And so I'm going to invite you to close your eyes again. And I'm just going to share with you a little abbreviated version of the Metta Bhavana. So if it feels good and safe to do so, I invite you to close your eyes and put your hand over your heart, left hand, then right hand over. And this is my wish for you today. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free of suffering. May you be free of mental anxiety. May you live in peace. May your life be blessed with ease. And I am adding, may you be wealthy, whatever that means to you. Thanks again for joining me on day 2 of the Money Matters Challenge, and have a beautiful day.